Shivangla, you can start.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you switch on your video also, please?
No, it's hung. So I don't know. I can hear you, but I cannot see you or anything else.
Acha, okay. Go ahead. So this is chapter
Okay, come
6,
on.
The Toltec Path to Freedom, Breaking Old Agreements. Page number 93 in my book.
68 of the PDF. Breaking old agreements. Everyone talks about freedom. All around the world, different people, different races, different countries are fighting for freedom. But what is freedom? In America, we speak of living in a free country. But are we really free? Are we free to be who we really are? The answer is no, we are not free. True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is the freedom to be who we really are.
So this is basically what the game is all about. We think that freedom is something which is materialistic in nature. But I can be free having all the jhamela around me. I can still be free. And this is what the freedom that Robert Monroe talks about, where he says that all our aspirations are only targeted towards becoming free. And we can become free only when we have a higher goal, when we have a higher laksh. It is when we transcend our selfishness, we transcend our individuality, that we can get true freedom. We cannot get true freedom when we are associated with the body, okay, or our ego.
Who stops us from being free? We blame the government, we blame the weather, we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame God. Who really stops us from being free? We stop ourselves. What does it really mean to be free? Sometimes we get married and we say that we lose our freedom. Then we get divorced and we are still not free. What stops us? Why can't we be ourselves?
So now, to be totally free, you have to start becoming responsible for yourself, okay? If we are blaming others for whatever is happening in our life, we can never be free. Why? Because we are dependent on those others who we are blaming. So our happiness is put in the other guy's hand. And this is a serious problem that most of us actually are going through. We don't keep our own freedom in our own hands, okay? Now, nothing stops us from being free. It is only ourselves, our belief systems, our attachment, which cause us to not become free. The moment you start becoming detached, the moment you start doing things without attachment, the moment you allow things to happen rather than forcing things to happen, automatically you will find that freedom will start coming. Simple example, what Kavita Didi was saying, a, a, a small altercation was taking place in one of her groups, and normally she would jump into the fray. Okay, now she had that good sense to prevail, to be a witness, to watch what was happening. Now, to get that sense when you should get involved and when you shouldn't is something which is coming from your state of freedom only. Because many times when you're attached to creating a solution, you will jump into the fray without understanding what you're doing. So who did it? You did it yourself. So the point here comes that we need to create freedom internally. That external freedom that we are looking for is never possible. And this is very well this thing that, you got married, now you feel that you're in the bandhan, get divorced, and you'll still find that you are still under bandhan. Why? Because this is something that you've created. It's not being created by anyone else.
We have memories of long ago, when we used to be free and we loved being free. But we have forgotten what freedom really means. If we see a child who is 2 or 3, perhaps 4 years old, we find a free human. Why is this human free? Because this human does whatever he or she wants to do. The human is completely wild, just like a flower, a tree, or an animal that has not been domesticated, wild. And if we observe humans who are 2 years old, we find that most of the time these humans have a big smile on their face and they're having fun. They're exploring the world, they are not afraid to play. They are afraid when they are hurt, when they are hungry, when some of their needs are not met. But they don't worry about the past, don't care about the future, and only live in the present moment.
Okay, so again, I'm talking from the Gita class where he says that the most free person is a child, and the child is not attached to anything. Now, the child has no attachment. Okay, so when you have no attachment, you automatically become powerful. You have freedom of action, you have freedom of doing stuff. So over here, he says that because this human does whatever he wants to do, so there is no attachment. एक अभी एक कुछ कर रहा है, suddenly he'll start doing something else. Now he's crying. You taken away a toy, he's crying. You put another toy in his hand, matter is over. So what happens? The point here is that they are living in the present moment. What we did in Power of Now, the more you can be in the present and not in the past or the future, the happier you will be. The less attachments you have, the happier you will be. The more fearless you become, the happier you will be. If we are always scared of taking risks, then again we are binding ourselves. If the universe is giving us something, the universe always gives us stuff in a platter, right? Because it's manifesting it for you. Now you don't take it, you have a resistance in you. Again it becomes a problem because you are restricting your own freedom. You're not willing to take that leap of faith, you're not willing to jump into the game and see what happens and enjoy the process while it's happening rather than get stuck with the process.
Very young children are not afraid to express what they feel. They are so loving that if they perceive love, they melt into it. They are not afraid to love at all. That is the description of a normal human being. As children, we are not afraid of the future or ashamed of the past. Our normal human tendency is to enjoy life, to play, to explore, to be happy, and to love.
Okay, so now this is the description of the normal human being. So we are operating always on the right side of the grid. We are not looking at a transaction. Now, what has happened with us, all of us, is that any kind of interaction we have with anyone, we make it a transaction. If I'm giving you this, then what will I get back in return? If I'm doing this for you, what will I get back in return? If I do this for you, what will you do for me? Okay. So all the time we are in this transactional analysis, and that is where the problem comes from. If we just do stuff that we love doing and we do it for the sake of doing it, 99% of our issues are taken care of.
But what has happened with the adult human? Why are we so different? Why are we not wild? From the point of view of the victim, we can say that something sad happened to us. And from the point of view of the warrior, we can say that what happened to us is normal. What has happened is that we have the book of law, the big judge, and the victim who rule our lives. We are no longer free because the judge, the victim, and the belief system don't allow us to be who we really are. Once our minds have been programmed with all that garbage, we are no longer happy.
So now, basically what happens? You have a certain belief system, okay, and you're constantly operating out of that belief system. Now, let us say someone has a belief system that eating meat is not a good thing to do. So now, anyone who's eating meat, the guy is going to go and judge them as to it is a wrong thing to do. So the more we can transcend our belief systems, the better off we will simply be. And the point here is the belief system creates the victim as well as the judge. Now, whenever you're judging yourself, you are hitting yourself, you're criticizing yourself, you're putting yourself down. Whenever you're the victim, you're putting yourself down. When you're taking action, when you're being or interacting with life, you're being alive, that is when you are on the right side of the grid.
This chain of training from human to human, from generation to generation, is perfectly normal in human society. You don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. What else could they teach you but what they know? They did the best they could. And if they abused you, it was due to their own domestication, their own fears, their own beliefs. They had no control over the programming they received. So they couldn't behave so they couldn't have behaved any differently.
So now what is this happening over here? You will only radiate and resonate out from you what is in you. And the only way to transcend this is to enhance your own experience, to enhance your own awareness. And you can transcend that with two things. Okay, again, now taking from the Gita, by knowledge and by experience. So you have to have the knowledge and the experience to generate wisdom, which is the only way you will be able to break this belief system that we have created within ourselves. And let me tell you, it transfers from DNA to DNA. So you'll find that most of the and it happens in animals also. So over the years, even animals start behaving in a particular way because they have learned to behave in that way. Now, if we can make ourselves aware that this is not the way that we need to be, and this is not the way that is giving us the freedom that we want, only then we can look for ways to transcend it.
There is no need to blame your parents or anyone who abused you in your life, including yourself. But it is time to stop the abuse. It is time to free yourself of the tyranny of the judge by changing the foundation of your own agreements. It is time to be free from the role of the victim.
Go ahead.
The real you is still a little child who never grew up. Sometimes that little child comes out when you are having fun or playing, when you feel happy, when you are painting or writing poetry, or playing the piano, or expressing yourself in some way. These are the happiest moments of your life, when the real you comes out, when you don't care about the past and you don't worry about the future. You are childlike.
So what does this mean? That the child is operating in the now. So the more you can come into the now, the more childlike you will become, the more investigative you will become, the more open to new experiences you will become. In our workshops, we ask this question to people, is that when was the last time you did something new? And let me tell you, 99% of the time, I see blank faces because people just don't remember when they did something new. Okay, so it's very important to do new things, to stimulate ourselves, to go out and enjoy and do something different. It becomes extremely important. If we want to bring that childlikeness back into our lives, we have to take that leap of faith.
There is something that changes all that. We call them responsibilities. The judge says, wait a second, you're responsible, you have things to do, you have to work, you have to go to school, you have to earn a living. All these responsibilities come to mind. Our face changes and becomes serious again. If you watch children when they are playing adults, you will see their little faces change. Let's pretend I'm a lawyer. And right away, their faces change. The adult face takes over. We go to court, and that is the face we see, and that is what we are. We are still children, but we have lost our freedom.
So again, responsibilities. You are responsible for what is happening, but what is happening here is that if you can make your responsibility also play, okay, and enjoy your responsibility, then it no longer becomes a pain, it becomes a pleasure. But what do we do to ourselves? We think that our responsibilities are our pain, and immediately it puts us on the left side of the grid rather than taking the responsibility as a play and actually enjoying it. We always beat ourselves down with our responsibilities without trusting that the universe has created the best possible environment for us to experience what we really have to experience in this life. But having said that, what we do is we operate from the small mind, and we think that every problem that is coming up is an issue that is putting us down, rather than changing our perspective about that particular issue and using it as a stepping stone to actually grow. Because the universe is only going to give you issues or create an environment for you which is the most congenial to your growth. Okay, so if we can just shift our attitude about responsibility, again, life will become beautiful.
The freedom we are looking for is the freedom to be ourselves, to express ourselves. But if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. That is what has happened to our freedom. And we see in our society and all the societies around the world that for every 1,000 people, 999 are completely domesticated.
So now what happens? We can express our freedom. Having said that, we are still bound by certain social norms. Now, if we can work within the social norms to create our freedom within ourselves, and actually the freedom is within yourself, okay? The social norms are not actually a problem, but we make them a big problem because we let the responsibilities push us down rather than using them to enhance ourselves.
So, Nikita, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Why do we always want to please others? What is that characteristic
So
within
see,
which is
now if
there?
you the point here is, there's a story. Okay, now I think I've shared this before. Now someone offers a sweet to a child. Now
Mm-hmm.
the mother of the child has told the child that if you eat the sweet, I'm going to spank you. So
Okay.
so now if the child eats the sweet, he gets a certain amount of satisfaction. Let us say it is 8. And
Hmm.
if he eats the sweet, his mother is going to beat him, and it is going to give him 9 dissatisfaction. Will he eat the sweet?
No.
He won't eat it, right? Because the
Yeah.
dissatisfaction level is higher than the
Hmm.
satisfaction level. Now let's do the inverse. He gets 8 eating the sweet, and he feels that, oh yeah, ma maar legi, char spanking kha
Hmm.
lenge. Only 4 ka
Yeah, the max is
dissatisfaction.
higher. Yeah.
He will eat the
Yeah.
sweet. You
Yeah.
understand? Now, what is happening in society is that definitely you're getting something from society, right? So you want to look good for the person in front of you because you're not being authentic, you're not doing your authentic self. Now, if you see the 4 agreements, what are they? Being impeccable with your word,
Impeccable. Yeah.
okay? Not
Yeah.
taking things personally. What was the other one? Not taking,
Judging was
Assumption.
not
assumptions.
making
And
Assumptions.
assumptions,
Uh,
okay?
do your best
And
100%.
And do your best. Okay, now the 4 things. Now, if you look at your life, most of the time you're not doing your best, because if you're trying to look good, then you can never do your best. It is not possible. Okay, now if you're not doing your best and you're attempting to
hmm.
look good, you will start taking things personally. And when you are in that
Mm-hmm.
state of
Bhaiya,
consciousness,
come again, please, Bhaiya. What did you say?
the the point here is that if you're not doing your best, see, in the last agreement he said that always do your best. Okay, now if you're not doing your best, then automatically you are not putting in exactly the effort that you need to put in. So you're not being impeccable to your word, number one. And then if someone criticizes you, you will take it personally because you know you've not given your best. Okay, and then when you're not doing your best, you're constantly making assumptions that why is this guy making me do it, I should not be doing it, it is not the best thing to do. So that thinking process is constantly going on. So all the 4 caveats, all the 4 agreements are being violated when you're not doing your best. And 9 out of 10 times a person, most of us are not doing our best, and that is where the problem lies at the end of the day. So you're always attempting to look good. And when you are attempting to look good, you will not give your best. So if you can be your true, authentic self, that is the only time that you will give it your best shot. You're going to put your all into that particular activity. Otherwise, you will always hold something back. Does that answer your question, Didi?
Yeah, it does. I need to introspect on it.
Yeah, so you have to see now today, if
Yeah.
because of social norms you are doing something, okay, then do
Uh-huh.
it with a clear heart. Do it to be
Yeah.
impeccable with your word, right?
Hmm.
Do it
Yeah.
because you want to do it, not because you have to do it. Now, many times there are stuff that you
Yeah.
have to do, okay, but you're not willing to do. So you're putting yourself on the left side of the grid immediately. But now, if you know that you have to do it, you might as well willingly do it, not to put
Yeah.
yourself on the right side of the
Yeah,
grid.
right.
Why are you fighting with yourself? Now, today, if the
Hmm.
universe has given you that environment in which that task has come up for you or that responsibility has fallen on your shoulders, there's a reason for that, right? Now, if we can trust in that higher force and accept it and do the task lovingly and to the best of our ability, matter is over as far as I know. Don't
Yeah,
you
actually,
agree?
if you be in the allow, because sometimes you just feel that that's not right. That's when the conflict comes within. So maybe if you feel that this is from the above, yeah,
Exactly.
maybe.
That's
Hmm.
exactly it,
I
right?
guess. Yeah.
Dikshitji, here
Thank
I
you.
have a small point.
Yes.
What happens usually when you're working or when you're in the professional field or maybe in the corporate sector,
Yeah.
like many a times those who work superficially and those who actually make things like they make themselves visible. So they are the ones who are considered to be the ones who are working hard and giving all their best. But the
Mm.
people who are actually giving their best and who are silent workers, they are left behind. So then how do you correlate this with that?
See, at the end, according to me, ultimately it has to come out because the false facade cannot be sustained for a very long time. It
Yeah,
just
I agree.
cannot
I
be.
agree with this, but this is what is happening nowadays,
I
and so the
agree.
younger generation also,
Yeah.
most of them, they are getting carried away by this
We've lost you. Please
visibility
come
thing.
closer to your mic.
Hello,
Yeah, come closer to your mic. We are
hello, can you
losing.
hear me?
Now we can hear you. We lost you in the middle.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So what happens is nowadays, actually, the younger generation, they are not going into in depth into all these things, So they are doing things very superficially. At work, we often observe this, and they try to make small things also appear big and make themselves visible. So they are not putting their heart and soul into it. What is supposed to be their profession. So
Eh,
this is what is trending now. So
Yeah,
how
so
do we try to
then if you really see, is the younger generation happy?
No, of course not. They are the ones who are most stressed, actually.
So now that is the basic problem, right? So this is where the spiritual aspect of upbringing starts to come in. What is the value system with which a youngster is being brought up with? That becomes important, right? Now today I know when I was in the corporate world, when we were interviewing people, I did not get one bio data which the guy had stayed in one company for more than 2.5 years. Now, how is a person going to create stability in their life when they are constantly jumping around and creating stress in their life? So, this is something that we need to understand from ourselves. What is it that we want and what is it that we desire? Because what happens here is that spiritual aspect of life has started to go missing because people are
Yeah, there's
connecting more with
disconnected.
the materialistic aspect and
Exactly.
not with the actual aspect of being happy. You
Yeah.
understand? So everything is a transaction. Now that becomes a huge problem. If you make everything a transaction, which is what the youngsters are doing, and we have no control. I love it when youngsters come for the sessions, let me tell you. But I mean, we hardly get any youngsters, so we can't do anything about that.
That is the biggest problem, actually, biggest challenge rather, because when they reach their 40s and 50s, I don't know what they are going to do if they don't have that. They
That
are
is
not the
where
sustainable generation. What I feel,
exactly. So they
and you
break
have
down
these
very fast.
deaths, untimely deaths like the Sushant Singh Rajput and all,
Exactly.
going into depression in spite of such a lucrative career. All
That
these things are cropping up now,
that's
actually.
exactly that, right? So that spiritual aspect. Now, see, it also depends on the upbringing of the parents. Are the parents practicing something? So now, what are we saying here? If you turn to the last page, okay, uh, yeah. So you don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. Got it? So now what
Yeah,
you teach your child, what you are like, right? So now if the parent doesn't take steps to change themselves and to actually start becoming aware, so rather than putting
absolutely.
the blame on the youngster, first see what you are doing.
Exactly.
So now if you are
That's
not
right.
going to, how does a child learn? Let me tell you, the youngster that 1 to 5 years will constantly copy the parents. They will constantly copy the parents. Are you understanding what I'm
Uh,
saying?
yeah, yeah, that is there. Another thing is, DKG, like what I've observed, that in spite of having a good value system at home, also in spite of having everything at home, like spiritual atmosphere, awareness, if not atmosphere, at least the awareness and all. Sometimes, when these youngsters they go to the metros, and the stress, I mean, the pressure of the metro cities, they are not able to handle. Hello.
That is the point, right? Now, if you're not
and
giving
then
the
and then they try to transform themselves, and
one,
then their value system is put to a challenge, and sometimes they don't sustain also. That is the
now,
problem.
now this is where the point comes, right? If you're not
Yeah.
giving the tools to be able to handle the stress to the youngster, then how is the youngster going to be able to handle that challenge? You're putting a value system into a child, but you're not giving them the tools to be able to sustain it.
Mhm.
Okay, now this is the biggest problem. So in awareness, what are we talking about? Today, when I get calls from people, if they've attended a program, I'll tell them, Pele, I used to try to handle the problem for them. Now I'll tell them that, okay, you learned this tool. Please open your manual and put this particular tool into play whenever this happens. And let me tell you, 9 out of 10 times I get a call back that, yes, I've been able to handle that situation. So if we
Okay.
are not giving them the tools to be able to handle the situation, then who's at fault?
Right. So what do you mean by the tools, actually, Nikitji? I don't
You've not
understand
attended
this.
any program, right? If anyone who's attended a program here, they'll tell you that we have a toolbox. Would someone
Okay.
please talk about the toolbox?
There's so many tools like the reball, like the this day, which we all have learned in the excursions and gateway and the advanced
Without telling
meditations.
you how many tools
There's
there
a lot of
Even now
I
also we
see.
are
There are
learning
lots,
them.
7, 8.
Oh, I
But
missed
there are
the
more
previous
than
part.
that. If you take the left side and right side, there are more than that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
lots
yeah.
and
Heart
lots of
math
tools.
breathing,
Yeah, there's so
ECD.
many,
Yeah,
uncountable.
uncountable actually.
Okay, I missed the previous part, so that's why I don't know about
lost
it
you, Manga.
much.
No, no, you need to
I'll tell
attend
you
these
how many
sessions.
tools we have. You want to count?
healing
We've got focus
development
10,
में ये
focus 12,
20
focus 15, focus 21, focus 27.
Yeah,
Uh,
all those levels also. Yeah.
we've got we've got reball, we've got one breath technique, we've got release and recharge, we've got heart focus breathing,
relax
we've got the
access
grid, we've got so many of the tools, focus,
Ho'oponopo, which you taught us.
Oponopono, we've got
Yeah.
Oponopono, we've got this day. Uh, I mean,
Many,
I don't
many.
know. We
So
Uncountable.
yeah, and use it
The
as is.
ECB, the
the
ECB,
Yeah,
ECB
ECB is
resonant breathing.
fantastic.
yeah.
So many tools are there.
Okay, okay, okay.
So now, if
Okay,
you're
I've heard
not,
of this, but I'm not attending this thing. I need to attend all these things. I mean, all these
if you're
programs.
not, see, I mean,
Healing development भी
anyone
बहुत
who has attended the programs, anyone who's here who's attended the programs, I'm sure they'll tell you that the tools have really shifted in causes shift in their lives. Would anyone like to say?
मेरे में ही हो गया ना हम I can feel the difference in everyday life. I've been attending, and this I was just reading the human plus function commands from we had this advanced program. There are so many tools in this only. I can't even count them. They are uncountable. Can you
They're
see
not
my?
uncountable. There are about 12 or 15 of
नहीं
them.
देखो 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 कितना है ये? हाँ?
Great.
What I would like to say here is most important.
Niket, you can make your own human plus programs, na? So you taught us that
सच्ची
also.
में
तो.
हाँ
Yeah, Mukunda, you were saying something. 1
No,
second.
I was saying all these tools, best thing is it empowers us and it gives us a lot of faith that, okay, whatever the situation arises, we can deal with it. And we now know which tool is to be used where. So that also for any situation. So that is the best thing, that it's empowering us and it gives us faith. So the whole attitude towards life and in general changes.
Okay.
Relationships, everything, everywhere you'll see a difference.
So now
Okay.
if what I am getting at here is, now you're talking about youngsters. Now let us say a youngster is going into the metro, right? Now he's already equipped with all these tools. So when a situation comes, the person is capable of handling that situation by putting a tool into play. I'm not saying the person is not going to lose it, not going to get angry, but the number of times the person will get angry will reduce. The time that
Right.
the person will take to recover will reduce. The number of, I mean, uh, the breaking point as to when the person will lose it, the threshold level will start to go up. So you're empowering
Making right decisions also, I think.
again.
You start making right decisions.
Yeah. So you put yourself
Yeah,
into a
I would
state
also
of
like to add to
consciousness.
the number of time you remain in that state of instability reduces a lot.
Yeah. So
Bhaiya, can I ask one thing?
yeah, please.
You are talking about these tools, which is from the programs, yes. But earlier we were talking about that children should be given certain tools. Now, children, the youngsters are not ready to go into all these things. They don't have the belief systems for this. Which
Exactly.
First, I will
what
ask a
kind of
question. You see over here, the first question I will ask: have the parents attended these programs?
Yeah, we also need to update ourselves. We also need to
Then,
know it.
so if
Actually.
you don't know something, how are you going to tell your children?
Exactly.
It's very simple. Today, if any parent of a child comes to me and says that, my child is behaving like this, please can you help me? I say, first you attend the program.
Okay.
And let me tell you, not one parent attends the program.
Okay. So,
Now,
Nikki, are you going to, this program is a part of which group? I mean, virtual group or which group? I really don't understand.
No. We have these workshops. Okay. It's not yet a part of the group. It will come. It's all coming. What I'm saying, forget the programs we are talking about. How many self-development programs does a parent attend to enhance their own state of consciousness? How many have you attended, Chalo, Rajkumar?
हम किए
Self-development. I have attended, actually, I was into Shri Yoga, and then I had done the basic and advanced and all these were basically a part, I mean, besides the yoga, it was self-development and mental health, and even my kids, they have done the yes course and all these things,
Good.
So
So now see, your kids are more empowered than the other kid, right? There was one
somewhat,
video.
you can
There
say.
was this video where they
Yeah.
had a group of kids. It's been roaming around in WhatsApp, where they had this group of kids where all of them were in the same line. There were blacks there as well as whites there. And then this guy started asking the question, okay, anyone who does not have to think of where the next meal is going to come from, please take a step forward.
Yeah.
Anyone who has not
Yes, very
had
Yes.
to pay for their college, take a step forward. Anyone
Yes.
who
This is
has a
very
house
beautiful.
to go to at night, take a step forward, and so on and so forth. All the whites went up, the blacks were at the back. So then he told these guys that, see, you're already starting with such a big advantage. Now, if your kids have done the program, then they are in an advantage compared to the rest of them. But by just doing the program, it doesn't work. Have they imbibed it into their life? That is the main game. And if the parent has done the program but is not imbibing them in these systems in their life, it's not going to work. We are reading this book, right? Now there are 4 agreements in this. Now there is a way of looking at these agreements. Now you can, depending on your state of consciousness, you are going to pick up what you are resonating with the book. And believe me when I tell you this, most of the time people will pick up what they resonate with, not using the tools that they are learning in the book to enhance their own state of consciousness.
Exactly.
So again, you have to become aware, right? That is the main game. Awareness.
So how do we learn from the basics? I mean, all these terms you're using frequently. Now I'm familiar with these terms, but they are actually Greek and Latin to me. You know,
I have no.
Except the grid that you had explained to me once, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But then others I don't understand. Focus 1, focus 2, I don't understand. Absolutely,
We did focus 10. Focus 10. We had the reball exercise. We had the focus 10 exercise on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you attended.
So, no, I was not there. So I'm not a part of that group, but I'll be joining that.
No. One second, Rajkumar. So anyone who had donated that 2,500 rupees, we did that program for them, right? Now you yourself didn't take the steps to do it. Now you're asking me that what is that all about? Understand from where I'm coming. So you had the opportunity, but you didn't take the step, right?
No, I missed on the mails in between. Actually, I didn't see the posts, and then I was just after this Sunday, just yesterday. Yesterday, I actually was going to the post. That time, I found that this has already been formed. Actually.
So then, what do I do? You tell me. Can I do anything about that?
No, if we can have a repeat session after you join, then that would be great.
See, now this is the problem. So your children also will say the same thing, right? You understand from where I'm coming. I'm not.
But then I need to learn first, no, sir. Then only I can educate them.
Madam, यही तो बोल रहे हैं. The post was put at least 4 or 5 times in all the groups. Okay, 87 people.
WhatsApp is nowadays actually so flooded with posts. You know.
Arey Baba, 1 second. That's not my problem. Okay, it was posted many times.
And that also, Niket, if I can say something in between, I don't.
Please.
And Niket, that also you did like a.
You've muted yourself.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
I said, Niket, that was a huge favor. We just showed our gratitude, and Usper again you threw it back to us. So again, we'll have to show our gratitude.
It's actually
She's constantly putting us in debt.
Really very much. What do you say?
कविता ठीक बोल दी.
एकदम ये सच्ची में बुआ ना.
Very true.
So let's cut this discussion short, okay?
Yeah.
Point is that you need to make yourself aware of what is available. Take the steps to do what needs to be done, rather than blaming. Put the blame game all around. Do what needs to be done. If you've missed the opportunity, create the new opportunity. At least set an intent that I want to do it, and then push for it. Now you set an intent and then ask for it, right? Once enough people are there to ask for it, we'll do it again. What's the problem? But that intent has to be there, right? Okay.
Exactly.
So come on, let's come back to the book. We've gone totally haywire today. Shimangla, are you on?
पर ये डिस्कशन भी जरूरी रहता है बेटा.
हाँ ठीक बात है. जो होता है अच्छा ही होता है.
The worst part is that most of us are not even aware that we are not free. There is something inside that whispers to us that we are not free, but we do not understand what it is and why we are not free.
So when we are not free, you understand, when we are not in the flow, we are not free. When we are in resistance, we are not free. When we are constantly criticizing ourselves, we are not free. When we are not doing what needs to be done, we are not free. Okay?
The problem with most people is that they live their lives and never discover that the judge and the victim rule their mind, and therefore they don't have a chance to be free. The first step towards personal freedom is awareness. We need to be aware that we are not free in order to be free. We need to be aware of what the problem is in order to solve a problem.
Okay, just 1 second. I think there's someone talking. Okay, so now this is very, very important. Now in the book Celestine Prophecy, there is something called the control drama. We've spoken about it before, but it's very appropriate to talk about it here. So there are 4 control dramas. The first one is the intimidator. The second one is the interrogator. The third one is the aloof. And the fourth one is poor me. Okay. The intimidator and poor me go together. The interrogator and the aloof, they go together. So you will find that whenever you are putting yourself in the left side of the grid, you are going into one of these control dramas. Now, when I say the judge, okay, the judge is the interrogator and the intimidator, and the victim is the aloof and the poor me. You got that? So now whenever we are wanting to absorb energy from the other person, it means that we are depleted. We are not whole in ourselves. And that is when the control drama starts to come into play. So now whenever we make ourselves aware that we are going into a control drama, we need to put a strategy in place to cut it in the bud. If we don't nip it in the bud, then we are going to go into a syndrome and which will take us into a vicious cycle. So we need to understand and discover what the judge is and the victim, because these two things, we are constantly in this control drama business and we need to step out of it. Okay, so what we were discussing.
Bhaiya, in this control drama, if you experience this control drama, it is just to step back from that situation.
So you need to put strategies in place which will not put you into that control drama and put you into that vicious cycle. But what is the clincher here? What is the key? It is awareness. That first you understand that you're going into a control drama, or you're going into a judgment kind of an attitude, or a victim kind of an attitude. You understand? If you are not aware of it, how can you deal with it? It is impossible.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Awareness is always the first step, because if you are not aware, there is nothing you can change. If you are not aware that your mind is full of wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean and heal the wounds, and you will continue to suffer.
So see, again, awareness is the first step. You have to become aware of something. If you're not aware of it, how are you going to deal with it? It's impossible. Let me tell you the story. Some people have already heard the story, but how did awareness come as a name? What happened was that I was meditating a lot for quite a number of years, and then my meditation actually stopped. And there was this gentleman who came and he started a meditation session. And I felt that, okay, it's giving me a chance to start my meditation again. And we were having their sessions here. One day they suddenly walked out of our place. And I felt that we needed to continue. And I was sleeping one day. And I was really upset about it because I was really into that process, okay? I was doing my own thing, but at least the sessions were going on. It was allowing me to connect. Then at night, I was actually woken up, in our meditations, many people say that, okay, my hand was nudged and this and that. I was actually woken up and I'm sitting up, my eyes are open and I'm seeing in front of me letters coming, awareness. And then I was told very clearly, get up from the bed right now and start the awareness page in Facebook. And that is how awareness actually started. And later on, we formalized it by making a resolution in the trust, etc. But awareness was simply created because of that person shaking me or something shaking me and waking me up at night. And once that awareness came, I find that awareness is coming up in everything that I'm doing and reading. And it is always the first step towards getting or going towards wisdom. So over here it says awareness is always the first step, because if you're not aware, there is nothing that you can change. So now in my view, the first step is awareness. The second step is acceptance. If I'm aware of something but I don't accept it, there is no way I can deal with it. The third step is to find the tools to be able to deal with it. Okay. Now, of course, the fourth step is implement the tool. The fifth step is observe whether it is working or not. If it is not working, go back to third step and use another tool. So that's where the toolbox comes into play. And over the years, you will start understanding that which tool will work better in which situation. So you become proficient in using the tools also. Okay.
What is the fourth step you said?
I said
First is awareness, second is
awareness,
acceptance,
acceptance,
find tools,
brainstorming what
third.
to do. Third is implement the tool.
Fourth is implement.
Fifth is observe whether the tool is working or not, or the process is working or not. Shivangla.
There is no reason to suffer. With awareness, you can rebel and say, "This is enough." You can look for a way to heal and transform your personal dream. The dream of the planet is just a dream. It is not even real. If you go into the dream and start challenging your beliefs, you will find that most of the beliefs that guided you into the wounded mind are not even true. You will find that you suffered all those years of drama for nothing. Why? Because the belief system that was put inside your mind is based on lies.
So what he's talking about here is Maya. Okay. Everything is ultimately Maya. It's a figment of your imagination. If you know something, if that information is put into you, then it will affect you. If it is not put into you, it's not going to affect you. Like, for example, if there's a danga going on in Tollygunj in Calcutta, and we are sitting in Baliganj, we don't even know about it. So is it going to affect you? It's not going to affect you. But now with the news, we get to know that, okay, there's a danga going there. Now you will start feeling scared that the danga should not come to my environment. Okay. So now once we become aware of something, we become responsible for it, which is the premise of zero limits. That today, if it is in your awareness, then you are responsible for it. But the first thing is you can also distinguish what you want to become aware of and not. Today in the morning, I got a call from someone that I am always looking at death, and death is always popping up in my consciousness. So then this person adds, I'll not take names, that this person adds that when we were doing the meditation, a thing popped up on my screen saying that this guy committed suicide. Then I asked her a question that how did it pop up? Baba, in my phone, though it does not pop up. How does it pop up on your screen? She says, I have subscribed to a news feed which keeps sending me pop-ups. Now, what are you going to get in the news feed pop-up? All negative news. Now you are yourself tagging on to something which is pulling you down. Now, who are you going to blame? So I told her, you don't want to associate with that, stop the news feed. If you all are understanding what I'm saying. Okay, so we are creating this dream for ourselves, and we create our own problems. The moment we step out of it, the problem gets sorted out.
That is why it is important for you to master your own dream. That is why the Toltecs became dream masters. Your life is the manifestation of your dream. It is an art, and you can change your life anytime you aren't enjoying the dream.
So have you got this? This is where intent starts coming in. Clarity of thought starts coming in. Being able to understand what was my life purpose. Why have I come here? Whenever there is resistance in your life, you're not in your track. And that is where the problem starts to come up. When you're in your track, then there is no problem.
Your life is the manifestation.
Go ahead.
Your life is the manifestation of your dream. It is an art, and you can change your life anytime if you aren't enjoying the dream. Dream masters create a masterpiece of life. They control the dream by making choices. Everything has consequences, and a dream master is aware of the consequences.
So now there is something called theoretical physicists. Like Einstein was a theoretical physicist. I keep repeating this, okay? They did the experiment in their head and they got the result. But it was not possible to do in the physical world. Like that, whenever I'm making a choice, I can actually play what the consequences of that choice are in my head. And I can actually see it happening. Now, when I'm going into that higher or a deeper state of consciousness, it gives me an incline as to what is the right choice to make. And then again, we come back to the 4 S's. We come back to the resilience grid. We come back to the control dramas. If I'm in a control drama while making the choice, it is not the right choice. If I'm on the right side, left side of the grid, it is not a right choice. If any of the 4 tenets of the 4 S's are violated, it is not the right choice. So we have to see, we have to use the tools that we have in our hands to at least make ourselves aware of what the right choice is. And our life consists of all the choices that we make. So we control our dream. Okay. From the Gita class, if we talk about it, he says that anything that is happening to you is the result of your desires. So what is your desires? Are the results of the choices that you have made. So we are manifesting whatever is happening to us. Although we tend to blame others, but we are the creators of what is happening. And we need to take responsibility for what is happening to and around us.
To be Toltec is a way of life. It is a way of life where there are no leaders and no followers, where you have your own truth and live your own truth. A Toltec becomes wise, becomes wild, and becomes free again. There are 3 masteries that lead people to become Toltecs. First is the mastery of awareness. There is to be aware of who we really are with all the possibilities. The second is the mastery of transformation, how to change, how to be free of domestication. The third is the mastery of intent. Intent from the Toltec point of view is that part of life that makes transformation of energy possible. It is the one living being that seamlessly encompasses all energy, or what we call God. Intent is life itself. It is unconditional love. The mastery of intent is therefore the mastery of love.
So now again, we come back. First step, awareness. Second step, what they're talking about is transformation. So if you look at the 5 steps that I told you, this is exactly following that. Okay. First is awareness. I said acceptance, number 2. Over here, they are saying transformation. So transform, how are you going to transform? By implementing some kind of a tool, by implementing some kind of a process. And intent is implementing that process into your life. So when I encompass these 3 things, automatically I can actually create my dream. So I have to be aware, I have to have tools in my hand to be able to create a transformation, and I have to have clarity of intent. Most of the time we are not clear with what we really want. Okay, I want to be a rich man, but I'm not willing to work for it. Or I want to be looked after. So the universe provides me a situation where I fall sick and people come and look after me. Now, what is it that I really wanted? I wanted to be looked after, have a great life, and enjoy life also. But what is the intent I'm saying? So I'm throwing out to the universe a partial intent. I'm not qualifying the exact thing that I want. So when I want to create my reality, I have to have clarity of thought and clarity of intent. Otherwise, I will land up cutting my own feet. कितना बच गया? Oh, we've crossed the time. चलिए, I think today we went off in all different tangents. Anyone, anything to say?
No, thank you.
Okay, I
Thank
thought
you, Bhaiya.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you.
Bhaiya.
Day after
Thank
tomorrow.
you,
I
Bhaiya.
hope day after tomorrow we can finish this book.
Bye. Bye,
Thank you,
girls.
Bhaiya. Bye bye.
Bye.
See you. Bye bye.
2 दिन और लगेगा. चलिए राम.
Bye, Shri Mangla.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Shrimangla.
Ram Ram.
Welcome.
Bye.
Ram Ram. Thank you all.